Today is Saturday, which means it is Park Run Day, and we're going to be completing our first ever park run in the state of Tasmania, Australia, and that will be Hoblers Bridge Reserve Park Run. So I'm going to be telling you everything that you need to know about this park run whilst also trying to achieve my fastest time. So let's get into it. Hoblers Bridge Reserve Park Run is located on the west side of Launceston in North Tasmania, Australia. The park run is an out and back flat course all on trail gravel paths with a short section on boardwalk. So therefore, I recommend wearing trail shoes. However, you'll probably be perfectly fine wearing road shoes too. It is also good to note that it starts at 9 AM. So a lot of the ones in mainland Australia start a little bit earlier, but this one is like the UK and it starts off at 9. And finally, it is good to note that it is buggy/pram friendly. It is dog friendly too. However, there are no real toilets close to the start line. However, a 15-minute walk to the Coles supermarket, you can find some there. In terms of how busy this course is, we had 130 runners on the day, so it is not too bad at all. And that is good because the paths aren't too wide. So if it was to be a busy park run, then I'd find it difficult to overtake people. In terms of whether you're going to get a PB or not, if you get out at the front, you definitely got a good chance of getting a PB here because it is so flat and it's pretty much on hard standing paths. Even though they are trail, it is very hard on foot. So I definitely recommend going all out if you're looking to try and get a PB here. Also, the scenery is beautiful. So you're running along the North Esk River and it is stunning, and the boardwalk section, especially when you're running in between the trees, I found that was really nice. So definitely have a walk around the park after the run. But before we do go any further, if you don't know what a park run is, it is essentially a 5k run ran by a group of volunteers who both time and marshal the event. When you hit the finish line, you'll be given a finish token, which will be scanned alongside your own personalised barcode, and then you'll be sent an email with your official finish time and position later on. And now let me take you through a quick summary of Hoblers Bridge Reserve Park Run. So you can see in that top left hand corner just how flat it is. This is the boardwalk section as you go around that bend, and then you head your way all the way back on the exact same paths. However, now you turn off to the left and then you do this extra little bit, which is torture, as you're basically running to where that finish line is. But it's a max elevation of 6 meters and an elevation gain of 0 meters. So that is a quick summary of the course, but now let me take you through it in just that little bit more detail. So you're going to start off here right close to the old railway track and head your way up towards the northwest. So this is all on gravel path, very flat and not too congested either, which is good news. So you're going to pass the dog park, you're then going to pass the reserve, and then you'll be running along the Esk River, which is stunning. So do make sure to look off to that right and left hand side. Once you hit this corner here, it's going to change to a boardwalk, which actually feels really nice on foot. I'd love to do a whole course on boardwalk, and you get to run in between the trees, which is beautiful. You'll come back off that boardwalk onto the gravel trail paths and do a U-turn once you get towards Henry Street. So you do that U-turn and head your way all the way back, heading back onto that boardwalk, back on the flat path along the North Esk River, almost up to the dog park, but now you're going to turn off to the left. So this is just that extra little bit which you have to do before you run towards the finish line. You're then going to do a sharp right hand turn and head your way to Hoblers Bridge Road. So you're not actually on the road as there is a bridge, but you're running back towards where you started. Do that U-turn, head your way all the way back, do that sharp left hand turn followed by pretty much a U-turn, and then head your way over to that finish line. So it's a fairly simple one. There are volunteers at all the places where you can go wrong and little cones to make sure you do those U-turns, but it's beautiful too. So I definitely recommend coming to this one if you do come to North Tasmania and especially Launceston. So now that you know what the course is like, let me take you through a few park run records which have been set here at Hoblers Bridge Reserve Park Run. Starting off with the fastest male, who is Charles Gunn, with a time of 16 minutes and 30 seconds. So very speedy time there. The fastest female is Emily Paget with a time of 19 minutes and 47 seconds. So again, incredibly fast. And the average number of runners is 98. So not too busy a park run, this one, with the average time being 33 minutes and 40 seconds, which is actually quite a quick, fast average time. So therefore, I can see that this one could be a pretty quick park run. And now let's take a look through my GoPro stats. So the number of park runs which I'm on right now is 92 at 68 different locations. My best finish position is 4th set in Zielony Jar, Poland, and my fastest times are still 22:32 all the way down to 23:09. So once we do manage to get past that 23:09, we'll knock Grangemore off of this leaderboard. And now we're at that point which you have all been waiting for. So let's get down to the newest park run here in Tasmania, and that is Hoblers Bridge Reserve Park Run, event number 37. And as you can see, it is pretty quiet. It's not too busy. There's quite a few people that are walking, but they'll be walking straight past us. And it is all on grass to begin with, which I did actually forget about, this start section being on grass, but you'll be quickly onto the gravel stones off to that left-hand side. The run director's just about to set us off, so we'll be setting off in 3, 2, 1, and park run begins. So as you can see, we have started some very fast runners there on that left-hand side who are flying right now. So there's quite a few fast people on the day, and because this was around Christmas time too, it did mean that there was quite a lot of tourists who have come to Tasmania, as well as we had as another tourist. So we're going to cut across now onto the gravel paths, and the rest of this run is on gravel apart from the finish where you end up going straight back out onto the grass there. So it's a good start from us, fairly quick as well, coming out at about a 4:30 pace. So we need to slow it down just that little bit, because I don't think we're going to be able to manage this after all the drinking, the mince pies and everything that we had around that Christmas period. But we're going to cut off to the left-hand side, and the reason for that is if there's any public, hopefully they'll be on the right. And also, once you do that U-turn, the people will be running back on that right-hand side too. But if you've got this far, you must be finding this review useful, or you must be enjoying the video. So I'd really appreciate it if you smash that like button, or subscribe if you are new, as it does go a long way to supporting this channel. But let's get back into the run and see how we're doing once we hit that half-kilometre point. So we're about half a kilometre into the run, and you might be able to see, it might be hidden behind my head, but the North Esk River is to that right-hand side, which looks beautiful. So definitely keep your eyes peeled and look around. We're just sort of sat behind these two runners in front of us right now, but we'll probably overtake them very shortly, as we are running at a pace now of around 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So it's quite good, really, that we slow down a little bit just to make sure that we don't over-exhaust ourselves right at the start. But it's all still on that gravel path, and you'll notice the elevation in that bottom right-hand corner doesn't really change too much throughout the whole of this park run. And if you do want any information on my split times or on the elevation, then I'll leave a little link in the description to my Strava, so you can go and follow me on there, and it will have all the elevation and split times for all the park runs which I have done on this channel. But it looks like they've picked up the pace now, those two in front of us, so hopefully we can just keep at this pace throughout the rest of the run and get a sub 25-minute time. One kilometre into the run, and that was done with a pace of 4 minutes and 42 seconds. So we're doing well at the moment, with the river still on our right hand side, and the left is fairly similar. And you may hear like cows and stuff mooing. There's loads of cows on Tasmania if you have never been, and I definitely recommend going to, because it is absolutely beautiful. So if you are planning a trip to go to Tasmania, you should actually check out my main vlogging channel, which is at Sheppy10, and that has the whole trip which we did. So we did 9 days in Tasmania, and feel free to ask me any questions on your trips to Tasmania. But this is the newest park run in Launceston and in the whole of Tasmania, so it's quite cool to do that one. And also it's a H, and I feel like H's aren't that common, so if you're looking for a H, this is a really good one to do. But if we can keep like this at this pace, it should be a good park run, and we should be hitting the boardwalk section very shortly, so I'll see you all there. And here we go, so we're heading onto the boardwalk, and I really liked running on this. It was really nice and spongy, and it felt good, especially as I've got bad knees. It felt lovely on there, and it's really cool running through with the trees on either side too, as you can see from the footage. Do be wary though of people coming the other direction. Just then there was just a member of public going out for their jog, so it's quite easy to run into them because you can't really see around the corner. So do stick to that left hand side. It does bottleneck a little bit here too, but because it's not too busy, you would find that you're not really going to get stuck in that spot, which is good news. We've just hit kilometre number 2 at a pace of 4 minutes and 43 seconds, so still going out nice and quickly. You can now see that people are running back in that opposite direction, so do be wary of that if you're going to overtake someone around the right hand side. So the U-turn is coming up very shortly. There's Henry's Road just in front of us there, and it's still on this sort of like dirt path now rather than the gravel. I think all the gravel's gone off it onto the side. There's the volunteer taking some photos, so cheers to them. And then the quick U-turn, and we're now heading our way back along the exact same path. However, there is that extra little bit towards the end, which is a little bit sneaky, and it's definitely a little bit evil too. As we're coming up towards that halfway point, I almost forgot about this little bridge here. So it's actually quite low, and I feel maybe if you are sort of 6'5", 6'6", you may actually have to duck underneath it. It could be just sort of like an illusion as you are running that you think you're going to bang your head on it. But I made sure to do a little bit of a duck as I went under. But we're doing quite well now, still running at that 4:45-ish pace now. So we've slowed down ever so slightly. Someone there pushing a pram, which I always find very impressive, especially when they finish ahead of me. I'm like, how have you managed to do that? But it is all still on that gravel path. The elevation hasn't really changed from that 5 meters, showing just how flat it is and how easy it would be to get a PB on a good day. And back onto that boardwalk we go. So the nice spongy section is what we're going to call it, as we go around that corner and head our way back onto the gravel on the other side. Beautiful day again. Definitely recommend going to Tasmania during the summer though, because it can get very cold, wet and windy. It's got similar weather to the UK, so that's why it starts at 9 AM rather than earlier, so it's a lot cooler than mainland Australia. But it was a beautiful day today, can't complain at all. Just look at how blue those skies are. You'll definitely be happy with one of these days in the UK. Now coming up towards 3.5 kilometres. So the last kilometre was done at a time of 4 minutes and 48 seconds, which was slightly slower than the first two, but I always find my 3rd and 4th kilometres are my slowest of them all. What I do quite like about this park run too is that it has got shaded areas, so you don't get too hot in the sun, which is nice, because then you get to cool off a little bit before running back into the sun, and then you cool off a bit again. Whereas I've done a few park runs now, especially by the beach, where they've not actually got any trees around, so if it's a hot day you do get really hot, sweaty and tired. But if we can keep at this pace, I'll be happy, because as long as I get under 25 minutes at each park run, I'm buzzing about it. One thing I do have to say is I love the vest of the guy in front. If you can't see it, it's basically like a Tasmanian devil, so that is the perfect running top to wear whilst you're here in Tasmania, so big kudos to him. You can see on the left hand side there is that river, it just looks beautiful. I don't know whether there's any wildlife in the river like platypuses or otters or anything, so someone will have to let me know down in the comment section below from around here. But we're still doing well, keeping up to a good pace, and I'll see you in just a few seconds where we turn off to the left and do that last little section before heading towards the finish line. And there is the turn off to the left onto this gravel path. So now we're onto that extra little bit, which we have to do at the end, and we've hit kilometre 4.2. So we ran that last kilometre at a time of 4 minutes and 53 seconds. So we are gradually getting slower and slower as the kilometres go. He is flying, wow. He is heading his way towards that finish line. Will he get a PB? That was impressive. Here's some other people also heading towards that finish line. So they're going to be happy to be finishing very shortly. But we're heading our way around towards the finish line, to be honest. However, unfortunately, we're going to have to do a U-turn and head our way all the way back up this path. So going around that bend to do that right-hand turn and heading our way towards the finish. So I'll see you in just a second where we'll do the U-turn, and it is very cruel. I think I actually remember saying to the volunteer, I think it was a volunteer on this U-turn at the end, and I remember saying, God, this is cruel, making us do this extra little bit, thinking that we're almost at the finish line, but it's actually a lot longer than you think, as you've still got that extra almost kilometre to do. And here it is, that U-turn that I was talking about just then. So there we go, round we go, and heading our way back on that path before we're turning off to the left and to that finish line. And we're back at that bend, but this time we're heading off to the left and towards that finish line. So the last kilometre which we did was a 4 minute and 59 kilometre, so the slowest one of them all. So we're definitely struggling, and what a sprint finish that is from the man in black who's flying. We're now going to start to sprint too. We head onto the grass. I didn't want to injure myself either whilst I was here, because otherwise it would ruin the rest of our Tasmania trip, but it looks like we're just going to lose out on that 24-minute time, unfortunately, but it's a big push towards the end. Here we go. What time are we going to get? There's those two posts, and we get a time of 24 minutes and 5 seconds with a position of 30th. So pretty happy with that. A lot lower than the 25 minutes, and we're almost falling back into the 23-minute times again, which is good news because we're trying to head towards that Grangemore time of 23 minutes and 9 seconds. And if we ever knock that one off the leaderboard, I'll be buzzing, because that means that since my injury, I've been able to work my bum off to try and get back to those times. So I'm just now going to take you through a quick summary of Hoblers Bridge Reserve PARKRUN. Hoblers Bridge Reserve PARKRUN complete, ticking off our second H of the alphabet here challenge. And as I was saying earlier, it is the perfect one to tick off the H, as there are not too many H's in and around Australia or the UK, to be honest, either. H seems to be a pretty hard letter to get. In terms of the scenery, it was a beautiful park run. I loved running all the way around the reserve and just seeing the water. It'd be great to see some more wildlife there too. You can hear all the birds in the air, and then the boardwalk section as well was really nice, where you got to run in between some trees. In terms of whether you can get a PB or not, I'd say this is a PB worthy course. So on a good day, you can actually fly around this course. It is really flat, pretty much hard standing paths. I know it's a little bit trail, so maybe that might take a few seconds off your time. There's a couple of U-turns, but I'll talk about those pinch points in just a second. But I do want to say a huge thank you to all of the volunteers who were there on the day, because they were there cheering us on as we went round, took some great photos too, and they were supportive throughout the whole of the run. And without them, these park runs do not go ahead, and with it being a new one, they did a really good job. But now let me take you through a couple of the pinch points. These are the points which are going to slow you down and stop you from getting your PB at this park run. So pinch point number one is going to be the U-turns. So there's obviously two U-turns. There's one at the far end, and there's one towards the end of the run altogether, where it's actually quite close to the start. However, you do the U-turn and have to do that extra bit again. Apart from that though, there's not really any pinch points. It wasn't congested, the paths were fine. Maybe on a wet day, so sort of in the wintry months, the weather can make quite a big difference at this park run. So we'll add weather as the second one, because if it's wet and rainy, I can see how it gets a bit like muddy and it's harder to run then, and you're dodging puddles and stuff like that. Or if it gets icy, because it can get quite cold here in Tasmania, then that would be the second. But apart from that, I can't think of any other pinch points, so do make sure to let me know down in the comment section below if you are local to this one and think that there should be any more pinch points added to this park run. And now let me take you through a couple of my tips and tricks on how to get to this park run and where to go for that post park run coffee and cake. So let's start off with public transport, as we always do. So if you want to get there via train, there is the Newstead train station. However, I wouldn't recommend doing this, as this actually shut in the 1900s, so it is no longer active as a train station. So you're going to be sat there for quite a while. But if you do want to get there via public transport, there is a close bus stop, which is the Hoblers Bridge Road at Hart Street, and that is just a 6-minute walk away from the start. And here's a couple of buses which you can take. However, I'm not sure if they will actually get here on time, so do make sure to check that on your Google Maps or whatever. You can have a look and see whether in the morning you can actually get there or not via public transport. But if I were you, I'd recommend driving to this park run, and they actually have a car park which is literally next to the start, so it's a 1-minute walk away. way. That may fill up fairly quickly, but they've got street parking literally just outside. Most of Tasmania, you can actually park on the side of the road, which is ideal. So there's plenty of spots which are less than 5 minutes away from the start. And then finally, the all-important post-parkrun coffee and cake. Where to go for that? Well, I believe they all head over to the Glebe Gardens Cafe, which is around the halfway point. So it's going to take around 35 minutes to walk there. But if you're a local to this park run or you're one of the directors and volunteers, then do make sure to let me know down in the comments section below whether that is right or not, or whether it's changed, and then I can pin it up to the top so that other people can see it. But those are my tips and tricks, so add any of yours into the comments below, and like I said, I'll try and pin it up to the top so that other people can see them. And although not much has changed, let's take a look at my total park run stats. So the number of park runs increases to 93 and the number of locations goes up to 69. So absolutely smashing it right now in terms of locations and park runs. We're almost at 100 park runs too, which is crazy. So let me know down in the comment section below which park run you think I should do for park run number 100. But apart from that, all of my other stats have stayed exactly the same, from my best finish position and all my fastest times. So that is going to be it for Hoblers Bridge Reserve Park Run. So I do hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, I'd really appreciate it if you smashed that like button and subscribed if you are new. It's 80% of you who are watching right now are not subscribed, so why not? You might as well hit that subscribe button and get notified of all the future park runs which I am doing. And as I'm growing, I'm hopefully getting better at making these videos too. So let me know in the comments of any ways I can improve these. You should now go back though and check out last week's park run where we headed over to Jubilee Way, and that was a really nice one too. It was slightly hillier than the one which we did today, so we didn't get quite as quick a time, but we were able to tick off Jay on our alphabet ear challenge, which we were buzzing about that. Or you can go and check out all my other park runs in the worldwide park run playlist, which has them from all over the world, including Europe, Asia, and also Australia now too. Next week though, we're going to be heading over to Lochiel Park Run as we attempt to get a new Aussie PB. So you're not going to want to miss that one, and I'll see you all next week with another park run video.